We are going to be looking at my top 5 breakout potential players for 2019. So I've seen a lot of these lists recently where they've been talking about people that they think are going to break out for the Detroit Lions. And there's one guy that keeps coming up every single time. You will see him later on the list. But let's start this off. Coming in at number 5, I have Kareem Johnson. I put Kareem Johnson here. Well, he's very low on the list, obviously. I was really hesitant to put him on here. But basically, last year he had to deal with some injuries. He had an outstanding year other than the injuries, averaging 5.4 yards per carry. But I think in 2019, having a bigger role, he could definitely hit that 1,000-yard mark. Now, there's going to be other running backs here next year that we should be able to rely on. I saw a thing saying that the Detroit Lions were strength in numbers. That's like a Warriors thing. But it makes sense. We have so much depth and so many talented players. We kind of are strengths in numbers for 2019. So for Kareem Johnson, though, I do think he can hit 1,000 yards next season as long as he is healthy. So I guess in that sense, it's kind of a breakout year because if he's healthy, he'll have a lot more yards. But overall, last season, he was great when he was healthy. So I don't know how much of a jump there he can take in yards per carry. If he goes over 5.4 yards per carry, that would be ridiculous. So coming in at number 5, we have Kareem Johnson. Next up at number 4, we have Tracy Walker III. Now, Tracy Walker is one of our safeties. He's going to be the number 2 safety for 2019, most likely, with Quandre Diggs. Now, Tracy Walker is going to take over a big role here in 2019. No more Glover Quinn, so it's going to be Quandre Diggs and probably Tracy Walker. Now, he has a lot of competition, like we've talked about in other videos. We did a breakdown on Tracy Walker, so if you guys want to check that out, make sure you go do that, because I talk a lot more about Tracy Walker, obviously. But he should probably be that number 2 safety, and if that's the case, him and Quandre Diggs will be out there together a lot, and they're expecting Tracy Walker to take a big jump in 2019 because he's been solid throughout his career with the Detroit Lions, and he was a solid safety in college, but now in 2019, being that number 2 safety, being on the field a lot, they're expecting Tracy Walker to be a really, really good player, and I think he can. He's a good coverage guy, and across from Quandre Diggs is going to be a young duo that's super impressive to watch. So that's Tracy Walker coming in at number 4. Next up, coming in at number 3, we have the middle linebacker, Jarrad Davis. And Jarrad Davis, I made a breakdown video on him as well. I called him the tackling machine, so you guys can check that out if you want to. But Jarrad Davis, some people say that he's borderline bust, which I don't 100% understand. But other than that, I think he's had a solid career, kind of like Tracy Walker with the Detroit Lions for a couple of years. But now in 2019, the third year, a lot of players end up breaking out in that third year. We'll talk about that with the next guy. But anyways, a lot of players do that. So we're kind of expecting Jarrad Davis to do that, being a first-round pick. We're kind of expecting him to have his breakout season, maybe be a Pro Bowl type of player, because he's not on that level yet. But I think he could do that in 2019. He has a lot of great players around him. And I think overall he's going to get a lot more help in 2019. And he's going to be more familiar with Matt Patricia's scheme. I would not be surprised if Jarrad Davis had a huge season in 2019. Next up, coming in at number 2, is really a guy that's hit or miss. This guy's either going to break out and be amazing, or he's going to fall flat on his face and he probably won't play at all. That's how far this ranges for Teez Tabor. So Teez Tabor comes in at number 2. We are hoping, everybody's hoping that this guy can finally live up to that Florida second-round pick draft potential, because he's played well during the offseason, but that's not when the games are played, right? No one wins during the offseason. That's something that's always been said, and that's 100% true here with Teez Tabor. So he has shown a lot of strides. He's never played this well in the offseason, but we need to see a lot out of Teez Tabor because he's been a terrible cornerback in the NFL, one of the worst. But I have confidence that Teez Tabor is going to come out and he'll be the number 2 cornerback to start the season. So if he can do that, Teez Tabor definitely would live up to his potential and definitely be a breakout player, because what he's really doing is breaking out from his previous self, from what he was. And honestly, it won't take a huge jump to do that. But if he just becomes a solid corner in the NFL, it would be outstanding, Teez Tabor. So Teez Tabor comes in at number 2. And then at number 1, we have the Detroit Lions wide receiver, Kenny Golladay. See these articles pop up all the time. Kenny Golladay poised to be a breakout player, all of this stuff. So that's really one of the biggest reasons I put him on here, because everybody believes he will. After last year hitting his 1,000-yard receiving mark, everybody believes that this guy is going to go off in 2019. Reggie Wayne said that he was going to be the Detroit Lions breakout player. With that being said, I don't know how much better he can be in 2019. He was outstanding in 2018, but again, he was by himself a lot of times. He was Matthew Stafford's go-to guy. Now, I think he could hit 1,000 yards receiving, but I don't know if he can go like crazy over the top of what he did last season, because he was really good last season. So I think with other wide receivers, if we can stay healthy, he may not get the same amount of targets, but he's still going to be outstanding in 2019 based on how many targets he does get. So I guess I could see putting him in here but I have this because a lot of people have this, so I'm kind of just going with what the community has to say. Anyways, we are going to be doing a list at some point where you guys are going to vote on it. We'll either do that on Twitter or Instagram, so I'll just go wherever I have more following and then do it over there. If you guys have any top 5 or list ideas, make sure you let me know, and we can do a voting one on that. Anyways, make sure you follow me on Twitter and click that link in the description. Go get yourself a Dose of Dion t-shirt, and I'm out.